Hey guys, how are you all doing? I am so excited to be here today chatting with you guys. Life has been busy, y'all. Life has been busy, but I'm glad that I'm able to come here and talk to you today. I hope that you're having a wonderful fourth. I wanted to choose my day to just relax, okay, sip my coffee without rushing to work or something and just relax and bond with my family and just, have a good time. So, anyways, I was driving home from work and I started thinking about why we struggle to do what we want to do sometimes. The strings that pull us, the strings that pull us. Life would be so much easier if everybody just did the right things, right? We treated people the right way. We do the things that we set out to do. If we all woke up on time and worked out, if we all ate right, right? If we all just lived right. But we aren't able to. Why? Because there are strings that pull us. So I started thinking about those strings and I categorize those strings into external strings, internal strings, and invisible strings. So our external strings that pull us are our career, strings tied to our careers, our co-workers, our bosses at work. Sometimes we don't want to do something, but there are going to be consequences for not doing it. So you do it either way. And sometimes we don't want to do things that are out of our characters, but we do them because there are consequences tied to them. You can't just wake up in the morning and be like, I don't feel like working today. Try that so many times and you're probably going to get fired. So there are strings, even though we think that we're absolutely in control, a lot of times we're not. We're not absolutely in control. There are strings that pull us. And so one of those external strings are our coworkers and our bosses. And as much as we want to disagree, I'm sorry, but you still have to kind of listen to what they say at work and what you have to do. Another one is our family member expectations. Sometimes there are places you don't want to be, things you don't want to go to or whatever, but for the sake of family, one, because you love them, right? They're family. And sometimes just obligatory, like I have to go, I don't want to go, but I have to go. Those expectations pull us into making decisions that maybe we don't want to make, but we have to because we are obligated to. So those are external strings, but we love family. So, right, it doesn't really feel like obligation. Any chance to be with family is always a good time, right? But at the end of the day, we're still pulled by familial expectations. Then we also have our friends. We are our lovely, wonderful friends. I call it the race to fit in. We all want to belong, right? We all want to belong. We all want to, and because of that, we have to behave. Even though we try to be as eccentric as we can, we still have to behave a certain way to fit in with our group, right? I will talk about fitting in, later. I think it's very important for us to be our unique selves, our unique individuals. But sometimes people behave a certain way because it allows them to be accepted by a group, right? So we have those strings also pull us. And then we have the government, politics, environment, right? Where we are, those strings can also pull us and determine our life course and what we do with our lives. Our internal strings are your mind, your struggles, right? Um, our strength, right? On the inside. A lot of times, internal strings that pull us are, can be rooted in our struggles, right? The struggles, the stuff we all have different struggles, the stuff that we battle individually. One thing I've come to realize and just thinking is nobody's perfect. Every adult that you meet has either survived some sort of traumatic experience. Maybe some people have not had any traumatic experience. Kudos to you. But I've survived some sort of traumatic experience, or I've found ways to kind of brace through those. And so every person that you meet, I've found that most people are just healing from something. Most people are healing from something. Sometimes you don't even know that they're healing from something. I sit myself down sometimes and I'm like, am I okay? Am I okay? Right? So there are internal struggles, internal strings that pull us. We are all healing from something. Sometimes we're all fighting something. Everybody's fighting a battle. As long as you're a human being, you are fighting your own battle. So everybody you meet is fighting some sort of battle. And even if it looks put together, like they look put together all the time, nobody's ever fully like put together. Everybody has something going on. Don't let social media fool you, okay? Everybody has something going on. If you see me, I just went to Mexico like last week. I was so excited. It was fun and amazing. And you might see my stuff and be like, oh, she's having a great time. Guess what? I have problems too. I have issues too. We all have something that we're dealing with. Anyways, not to go off track. The last one is invisible strings. Our invisible strings are deeply within our subconscious. And a lot of times we're operating in ways that we don't even know. That's why it's good for you to sometimes do a survey on yourself and ask your friends, like, even though you don't need your friends to validate you or people to validate you, sometimes it's just good to know, like, how do people see me? Like, am I a good person? Am I a terrible person? And ask people that you trust, because we sometimes operate in the way that we operate is deeply rooted in our subconscious. We don't even know we're doing stuff. We're doing it. Somebody asked me one time, they were like, oh, so how are you coping? And there was one day I said, I feel like I'm on autopilot. I'm just going. Like, I had not taken time to just stop and think about what I was doing. I felt like I was on autopilot. And some of us live our lives on autopilot. We are just pulled by invisible strings that we are not even aware of, right? And a lot of times they are ancestral too, like things from our parents, from their parents that are affecting us, generational things that are affecting us. So when I was thinking about this topic, because it was so personal to me and I'm always looking for ways to develop myself, I sort of, it wasn't like a formal interview. I informally interviewed two amazing women. One of them is around my age and the other one is way older than me, because you want to learn from people that have lived life, that have seen things. And so the first one, she told me not to name her because she's very private. I respect her so much. She talked about coping skills, right? She said a lot of times we struggle to do the things that we really want to do because maybe we don't have good coping mechanism. I'll give you an example. I started my day with coffee. As you can see, I have a Starbucks mug because I love Starbucks. This is not a promotional video, by the way. I'm just, I love Starbucks. And I call it Buc-ee's. I call it Buc-ee's because I once heard Kevin Hart calling it Buc-ee's when he did his Starbucks joke. So since then, I started calling it Buc-ee's, and I love it. And most people around me, I always say, who wants to go to Buc-ee's? I'm going to Buc-ee's. Anyways. So the point is, whenever I drink my coffee, I always put sugar. And I have this sugar craving. And I'm like, I really need to stop. Like, I know for a fact that I need to reduce my sugar intake, but I struggle. And I was talking to this wonderful woman, and she said, sometimes we do things we don't want to do because they are our coping skills. Maybe the sugar just, it gives you a high, makes you feel good. So when you're dealing with a stressful situation, you use the sugar to kind of make yourself feel better. So maybe not having the best coping skills. Another woman, this one is way older than me, she said that confidence, sometimes we don't have the confidence or the boldness to carry out the things that we want to do. And the reason for this is because we feel like we're being judged by other people. When I first started making these YouTube videos, I was so terrified. I remember doing a live video on Instagram where I was just talking to the people who were in the room, in that forum, and I was explaining how scared I was to do a video and put it out there, right? Because I'm like, oh my God, people are going to judge me for different things. They're going to judge the way that you look. They're going to judge the way that you sound. And you have to brace through all that. You have to move past all of that in order to do what you really want to do, in order to have the confidence and the boldness to carry out what you want to do, right? So a lot of times, most of us struggle to do what we want to do. Yes, we do have these strings pulling us, right? But also, our internal strings are so strong Our internal strengths, our mind, what controls us, how we feel on the inside. A lot of times we don't have the confidence, the boldness, because we are afraid that we're going to be judged. And because sometimes we just don't have the inner strength to carry out some things for whatever reason. Maybe you're just kind of fed up or tired or whatever. The inner strength is just not there to be able to carry out those decisions that we know are the right decisions. The third one is just we just don't have the self-discipline too, right? And I think that self-discipline is really affected because we have low attention span these days. We have poor focus. What I did for my Instagram, for example, is that I set a timer. So if I'm on Instagram for more than 30 minutes a day, Instagram should alert me to let me know that I've been on Instagram for too long, so I can just shut it off. I do that because it's a way of controlling how much time I spend just scrolling through people's lives. You know what I mean? Or just sometimes I go on Instagram to look at funny videos, and I find myself just going video upon video upon video and just laughing and cracking up. But I know that always looking for something to watch reduces your attention span. That's the reason why we say we don't want kids to watch too much TV, because we want them to have strong, longer attention spans and better focus. So a lot of times we don't have discipline because we don't have the attention span that we need to be disciplined, or we just procrastinate. I know I struggle with procrastination, not in all things, in some things. And I realize that I have to set consequences for myself, because I'm like, well, if I don't get this done, if I don't get X done, Y is going to occur. So I need to get X done. But it's hard. It's hard, y'all. That's why I'm talking about these strings, because I was thinking about it on my way from work. Like, why don't we just do what we want to do? Why don't we just set out to do what we want to do? And then the fourth one is that there's a lack of support system, right? A lack of support system. Maybe we don't feel appreciated or whatever, right? So we just don't want to do it. And do not take support system for granted. Yo, I've heard people say, "Oh, I am self-made." I don't. That statement, being self-made, is kind of almost repulsive. Yeah, there are people that weren't born with silver spoons, and so they didn't have like 2 million to borrow from their fathers or whatever to start a business. So you had to start. You had to start from scratch, right? But a lot of times we are where we are because somebody helped us get there. So when I hear people say, "Oh, I'm self-made," are you? Yeah, your dad didn't give you 2 million to start a business, but somebody helped you. Somebody connected you to someone. You know, network, or like somebody, I don't know, somehow. But saying, "Oh, I'm self-made," I don't know if anybody's ever really self-made. Someone connected you to someone, right? So not having a support system can really detail us from being able to do the things I want to do. So I wrote down some points because, hey, one of my friends told me to give actionable steps. What are actionable items, actionable steps that we can take to better our lives? So I was thinking, okay, I call them life hacks. So how do we move forward? What are some steps that we can take? Number one, do not be afraid to ask for help. If you're struggling to do the things that you want to do, if you're struggling to overcome the strings that are pulling you, ask for help. That's a step that you can take. It will mean like opening your mouth and talking to someone. Ask for help. Number two, develop new coping skills. So my coffee, I added a little bit of milk, but no sugar, because I have an accountability partner. And I told her, if you see me putting sugar in my drink, or if I've drank more than 2, 3 sugar drinks in a day, call me out on it. If you're struggling with addiction, this is that's a different ball game. You need to get help. Okay, you need to talk to someone, talk to a counselor, go into rehab, whatever it is. You need to get help. I am not talking about addiction. I'm just talking about us wanting to do what we want to do, but not having the strength to do them. Develop new coping skills. Talk to a friend that you trust. Talk to a family member that you trust. Have an accountability partner. If I want to go to the gym, but I don't, so my sister and I actually decided that we're going to work out more, and we're going to be each other's accountability partners. Yes, we're not necessarily work out at the same time. every week because we have different schedules, but just asking ourselves, hey, did you work out this week? And just being there to encourage each other and to remind each other of the reason why we need to take better care of our health, right? And then the third one is building self discipline, right? Yo, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. It is hard. Sometimes I don't feel disciplined enough. But I know that I'm also disciplined because trust me, I wouldn't be where I am in my life, in my career without some sort of self-discipline. Right? I'll probably be in my father's basement crashing somewhere. Right? But I wish I was more disciplined. I know what my life would be like if I was more disciplined, right? So, how do we move forward? Cultivate the act of self discipline. I'm going to do a research on self discipline and really talk about that. But read books on self discipline, figure out, watch videos on self discipline. I think having self discipline will allow us to kind of, remove some of those strings that pull us. Self discipline is an actionable step that you can take. Practicing self discipline. If you make a decision, you're gonna do something, do it, and be honest with yourself. Right? Sometimes when I don't do stuff, when I'm procrastinate, I tell myself, okay, am I procrastinating because I'm just freaking lazy? Or am I procrastinating because this task is boring? Or am I procrastinating because I don't care? Because of apathy. There are different reasons why we procrastinate. You gotta be honest with yourself. I live my life being honest with myself. I don't have to come and tell somebody else, like, oh, I don't have to come and share with anybody else, technically. But I try to be honest with myself. And then the fourth one is get support. Accept support. I first talked about asking for help. Accept support. And support doesn't always come from family or friends. A lot of times your family and friends are going to be there to support you. And when they're there, accept it, appreciate them, be grateful for them. But if family or friends aren't there to support you, it might be strangers, right? Accept support because having a support system will make your life even easier, make it easier for you to do the things that you set out to do. And then the fifth one, y'all know, I'm not gonna sit here and lie that I'm not spiritual. I am. Okay? Pray. Pray. A lot of times I always make this joke and say the powers that be, right? There are strings that control us. It's gonna sound gooey now, but there are strings that control us because of our ancestral past. There you don't even know. Like why do they say if a person has, like the parents have a history of diabetes, hypertension, the kids might end up having hypertension. Yeah, it's genetic, but there are a lot of other factors at play. How you were raised. Were you raised to eat a lot of salt? Yeah, if you're raised to eat a lot of salt and then you grow up eating a lot of salt, well, guess what? That's gonna put you at risk for hypertension, right? So that's just an example, but there are powers, I believe that there are powers at play that affect us, invisible strings that we don't see, that we don't know. And that's the reason why we need to pray. Okay, you need to pray for yourself. You need to pray for your family. You got to pray. You got to pray against the things that are controlling you that you might not even know, that you might not even see, right? Everything has a force, everything has energy. I believe strongly. You can disagree with me. I don't care. Everything has energy. That's why you can walk into a room and sense somebody's energy, somebody's aura, and be like, mm-mm, my spirit just does not agree. We're spiritual beings. And so there are invisible strings that might pull us that we can't even see. There are play that we don't even know. So when I was growing up, I used to pray all the time against generational curses. Every generational curse, everything that is present within my family that I may not know, that might be at play in me that I may not know, or that might be affecting me, I pray against those things. So when I'm thinking about strings that pull us, external strings we can sort of control and put leashes on. Like you can control how much your family members can control you. You can control how much your friends can control you because you're an individual. You have power. Okay. Even your friends, how much they can control your politics. You don't have to watch TV. Some people are not on social media, not on any forum or whatever. They don't even know what's going on in the world. I think you should know a little bit of what's going on in the world, but you can control, you can decide what you want to do. You can decide how much of the government you want to control you, even though you don't have 100% control over that. But the invisible strings are hard. And the invisible strings affect our internal strings, right? So pray, pray, and pray. I know that I have a lot to work on. If there's one thing that you're gonna take from this talk is, you know, have an accountability partner. If your life, oh, this woman that is my age, she told me, she said, if you're veering off in the wrong direction and you don't know why, you got to sit yourself down and ask yourself, how far have I veered? She told me about veering 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, like in the opposite direction. Like, how far have you veered? You got to figure out how far you veered so that you can bring yourself back to where you need to be, right? Mind blowing. She taught me that it's not about just sitting and thinking about how far you veered, but really thinking that you're veered, but really asking yourself how far you veered. You veered from the path that you want to be. So, um, I just thought I'd share this with you guys. If you are battling things, internal things, talk to somebody that you trust. No man is an island. You can try to work it out on your own, but a lot of times we're not able to work it out on our own. At that point, we need to share with someone, share with a therapist, or share with a close friend, or share with a family member that you trust. Some people even share with strangers just to like get things off their chest and get a perspective from somebody who doesn't know them, who can be objective, right? So y'all, I hope you enjoy your July 4th today. I hope that you have time to like hang out with friends and family and have a good time. And until then, know that I see you, I love you, and you are beautiful just the way that you are. Happy 4th.